Hey party people, I'm Sean Mullen from RampantDesignTools.com with more free 4K effects just for you. That's right, in today's video I'm going to show you the Distortion Toolkit from Rampant's Distortion and Grunge category. These effects are so crazy popular they've been downloaded almost 3 million times. Check it out. So how do you get these amazing 4K effects? Just go to 4kfree.com. That's the number 4, the letter K, and the word free.com. And when you go there, it'll take you to a little page that looks like this. So how do I get that 4K goodness? It's real simple. Just enter your full name and enter your email address. And then click here to download. When you do, you'll get an email with a link, and it will take you right here to this super secret special page built for you by Final Cut Steph. And of course, it was built with love. Why do I say that? Because check out all this free stuff. Look at all of this. Woo, woo, woo. Seriously, every single thing here is 100% free. So what are we looking for? Well, if you're at the top of the page, keep on scrolling, and by all means come back here and grab all the free 4K goodness you want. But what we're looking for in this tutorial is right here, Rampant Distortion and Grunge. So we're looking for the Distortion Toolkit right here, and how do you grab it? Just click here to download free effects. It's that simple. Click, and blammy, it's downloading right now. And of course, feel free to go through all of these and click and download whichever ones you want, right? There's just, look at all these overlays and mats and transitions, woo, project files. But if you're interested in learning more about what you're downloading, the buttons next to the free ones that say click here to purchase full product will take you to our product page. Why am I showing you this? Well, when you open this up, it'll take you to the Rampant Distortion Toolkit. You can go to distortiontoolkit.com and that will take you there as well. The reason why I'm showing you these is because every single one of our free effects comes from our professional library. These professional libraries are all over TV, movies, music videos, you name it. You've seen them. They're there. And the free ones come from these libraries, which means 1, they're the awesome stuff that you see everywhere. 2, they're not watermarked. 3, they're free. Did I say free? Have I said free in like the last 10 seconds? Because if I haven't, it's free. And then of course you can go ahead and use this in your personal and professional products without having to like link to us or watermark it or whatever. I don't know why everyone thinks that we need credit for this. No, we love you, and that's why we give you this stuff. Okay, so by now you've definitely downloaded the free effects from the Distortion Toolkit. Let's head on over to Premiere Pro and get going. We're going to recreate these effects right here, and we're not going to use After Effects, we're not going to dynamic link, and we're not going to use any Mogarts. This is 100% Premiere Pro, baby. So let's go ahead and zoom in. Let's get some good looks at this really cool distortion. What up? So how do we do this? Do I go under the effects panel? Do I install a plugin? Nope and nope. These are media files. Stephanie and I created these in our studio. What we did was we created a signal, and then we distorted that signal. We corrupted the signal. We intercepted the signal, and then we recorded that. So these are real media files. So you have to bring them in like you would any other media. So how do I do that? Well, there's a couple different ways. Go to your project window right here, and go ahead and right click and hit import. Then go find your effects that you downloaded. They're right here for me, and there's 8 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Booyah. And click import. And it goes zip, bing, and it goes over here. All right, I'm going to undo that. There's one other way you can bring it in. Go under File, Import, same. Just grab the files that you want and click import. Bing. Now, of course, I've already done this, so I am not going to bring them in again. And as you can see, they're right here in this nice little bin. So what do you get when you download the free effects? Well, you get this cool 8-bit effect, like so. You get some straight up VHS goodness, the analog distortion. This one's one of my favorite. This is just straight up corruption. This is basically a transition, but you can use it for whatever you want. And you've got, I mean, just so many random, very different kinds of effects from our massive library of 2,500. Very cool and nice. And then this one is a screen effect. You just put it on the screen, and it gives you this effect like a screen pattern. So you get some really cool effects. So how do we use them? I'm looking over here going, well, how do I get my footage to do this? Well, first things first is we need to understand that it's just as simple as drag, drop, and blend to get effects. Then to get distortion, it's just one more step. So it's really not that big a deal. So let's get started. How do I get my elements on top of this? Well, let's just grab an element. Let's grab the big one here. Nice and analog goodness. All right. So if I hit playback, I'm like, wait a second, I don't see my footage. Well, it's important to note that the free effects, to save file size, to make them a lot smaller and easier to download and be able to give you more, they don't have alpha channels. The professional version of these libraries, this particular one especially, has an alpha channel. So because we don't, it's really not that big a deal. You don't need alpha channels, but people sometimes want them. So how do I do this? Well, I blend it first. If I want to see my footage through this element, all I have to do is blend. So go ahead and highlight your analog element right there in the timeline and hit Shift 5 to open the effects controls. And you go all the way down here past opacity to blend mode and switch your blend mode from normal to screen. Boom. And all that's doing is it's basically keying out the darker values and keeping the lighter values, right? So if I roll this back, I've got some crazy VHS action going over this shot. Now you can see how large this VHS effect is. And this is a great time for me to explain why. We get asked quite a bit, why do you give away 4K effects? I only work in HD. Do 4K effects work in HD? We literally get this email 20 times a day. The answer is yes. It's just bigger. So imagine if you're making a slideshow for your family, or you're making a frame. I don't know. If you're working in photography, you can always use a much larger photo than what you're actually going to crop or use for your final print, right? Well, it's the same process here. This is just a much larger frame. So let me explain. We're in an HD timeline, and this is a slightly larger than HD clip. I'll show you. See, you can see the bounding box right here. So we're just a little wider than HD with this particular clip. Now that's the clip I'm talking about, not to get things confused. The clip I'm talking about is this stock shot right here, right? Not the analog effects. If I put the analog effects back on top, I'm going to go ahead and zoom out just a little bit so you can get a much better idea. So remember, this is our HD timeline right here. With my analog effect highlighted, I highlight motion. Boom, check this out. I had to zoom out to 50% just to show you how much bigger the 4K effects are. So here's why. Here's why you want 4K effects in your timeline versus HD. Right here. It's this simple. There's other techniques that we can implement, but it's basically this. The fact that I have ultimate control over my elements. If it's HD, this is it. There's nothing else I can do. That's the shot. But if it's 4K in an HD timeline, I can repo. I can scale it down, give you more, right? So you get more of that VHS goodness. Just keep on going until you get the fit that you want. See, check that out. I could also go back up and I could rotate if I want to. Back in the day I would have scoffed at rotating elements, but I'm watching Preacher turn film effects sideways and it looks really cool. So it's just like, well, if they can do it, anybody can do it, right? So it just has to work for whatever story you're trying to tell. All right, so bring that back to 0. All right, and scale it back down. So that's basically why 4K is so great. You also have control. These are much better files. These are ProRes files, so they have a lot of latitude in them. So you can you can color correct them pretty well, and you can distort them pretty well without them falling apart so quickly. These aren't MP4 files. They're not heavily compressed. These are professional files that you see in everything, and now you get it for free. All right, so we got to see this, and now you got to see how drag dropping and blending works, right? We explained why 4K. So let's go back to the process at hand here. I always like to, even if I'm giving stuff away for free, I like to give you as many techniques as possible. Okay, so you saw how to drag, drop, and blend. I'm going to try this one more time without talking. Find an effect, drag it on top. What do we do? Shift 5 for effect controls, opacity, blend mode, normal to screen. And there you go. Roll it back and see? And of course, just like all my other 4K effects, Shift 5 for effect controls, scale it down if I want to. See? Or leave it at 4K and reposition it. Put it down at the frame line. That'd be kind of cool. Roll it back. All right, cool. So this is the first type of distortion effects. They're just overlays. They're not actually displacing or distorting the footage, and a lot of people get offended by this. This isn't displacement. It's all about the effect that your director, your client, or you want, whoever you're working for. It's all about the desired effect. Yes, you're right. That is not true displacement, but I showed you true displacement, and that's what's next. When I first started doing displacement tutorials and distortion tutorials for Premiere, I'm an After Effects guy. So when I started doing this in Premiere, I was like, wow, this is severely limited. I don't even have a real displacement filter. How could I even get this to look the way I want it to look? And it turns out you just have to look at things differently. What you're seeing here is displacement. What's actually happening here is not. So let's go ahead and recreate this effect. Over here with our clean footage, I'm just going to go ahead and highlight this layer, and on the Mac, hold the Option key down, and on the PC, hold down the Alt key and just drag up. Okay, so I've just duplicated my timeline there. Cool, no problem. Duplicated my footage there, I should say. On the top layer, let's go ahead and go to our effects window here and search for track, T-R-A-C-K. We're looking for track matte key. Go ahead and drag that on top of the duplicate right there. Okay. So far, so good. You with me? Cool. And because it doesn't matter what we're putting on this thing, I'm going to go ahead and go back to our elements. I'm just going to grab all of them like I did in the example, right? And just go like this. And the only thing I'll do is I'll shorten the analog down because it's a super long clip. And like so, and let's just drag these out, right? So there we go. Okay, so now we have something similar to the original example. And remember, just like I showed you before, there are no blending modes attached to any of these clips. So what do? Do I go back and do I do that process? Well, I could. I can highlight, Shift 5 for effect controls, go to blend mode, switch it from normal to screen, right? And that would be this one. So now it's blended, but the rest of them aren't. So what else can I do? Well, if you've got something already blended, make sure that's highlighted. Go to effect controls, Shift 5 if it's not open, highlight opacity and hit copy. And then just drag over all the effects that haven't been blended, like so, and then just hit paste. And now you're copying your blend mode from the one that was blended to the ones that weren't. And of course, you can also copy and paste your position and scale if you decided that you wanted to reposition any of this stuff. But for this particular case, I don't want to do that. Okay, so now we've got these overlays blended, right? We're almost there. What did we do before? Well, we went to this top clip right here. And remember a second ago, we added track matte key. Now let's actually go ahead and use it. First things first, these are the free clips, right? So they don't have alpha channels. So let's go ahead and switch composite using from matte alpha to matte luma. All right, and then of course we have to say, hey, where are the mattes? Well, we put all of our mattes in video layer 4. So let's go ahead and change it matte from none to 4. And boom, we'll roll it back. Now we don't see anything, right? I'm gonna get this email. I've already done a similar tutorial, right? So I know for a fact I'm gonna get this email. I did exactly as you said, and nothing's working. Allow me to show you why everything is working. I'm gonna go ahead and take this bottom layer and just remove it. I could have unenabled it, but I'm being more dramatic here. Ah, okay. Now I see what's going on. You can actually see the footage being pushed through the overlays. Okay, so now it's starting to make sense. So what we're doing is we're using a track matte. We are pushing this layer of video through the luminance values of the distortion. So anything that's basically not black, the video is being pushed through it, right? Now when I go ahead and I put that clip right back underneath it, you don't see anything. That's because there is no difference between what's happening here and what's happening here, right? All that's happening here is that I'm filling in the spots that aren't being filled in here by putting in a duplicate beneath it. I hope that makes sense, right? This is going to make it a lot clearer though. Go ahead and highlight your second layer, the one that we're distorting. The quickest way to get an instant distortion is to make a change from what the layer beneath it is. So there's a couple different things you can do. You can start with just adjusting the scale. Let's make 105. Aha, check it out. I'm already getting some glitchy goodness and some weirdness. Cool, so let's roll it back and see what happens. Oh, so now anywhere that's different, you're seeing. Woo, and it's all being animated by the elements themselves. So you get nice little jumpies, some bumpies. But you see, it's just a little bit, right? It's not that exaggerated. 5%'s cool, but let's go ahead and let's find a really distorted frame like right here. Cool. Let's go ahead. Now that we're scaled 5, let's just move over to the right. Oh, yeah, until we run out of frame line, like right there. That's pretty exaggerated, right? So let's roll it back. And now you've got this really trippy. Pretty cool. So now basically you control the amount of displacement by the amount of difference between this layer and this layer, right? So let's go ahead and highlight our displacement layer and just go ahead and reset everything. So now it's back to the same. What else can I do if I don't want to adjust the scale or position? I don't know why you wouldn't, but what you can also do, you can highlight your layer and you can offset it, right? Well, the way to do that, because I'm using the very first frame here, let's go ahead and zoom in. Let's go ahead and pull this back just a little bit and trim this out. And this is completely random, but now this is a different time than this, right? So if I go ahead and double click that frame and double click this frame, you can definitely see these are in 2 different times. And now the offset is just time. So you can go forwards or backwards in time, revealing only that layer with the overlay. So once you realize that the whole world is a track matte, you can do all kinds of crazy and random things. And that's when you start seeing stuff like in the tutorials and the promos that I create, you start seeing these kinds of effects hard-hitting and fast. It's not that it's time-consuming, as you can see right here. This is the exact same setup. It's not time-consuming at all. It's once you get the process down, you start tweaking your look. How much displacement do you want? How much intensity do you want? Just a little bit? You want a lot. And then, of course, anything can be distorted. As you can see right here, text. Booyah. See? Same exact process. Once you realize that this is just video and you're pushing video through a layer, you can control any aspect of it that you want. So let's just jump around here. Let's do this effect. How did we get this effect accomplished? Well, let me show you. Same process. And this is great for like if you want to do a promo or something where most of the video is black and white and just the elements are color, and then you can slap a title on top, right? Real simple to do stuff like this. So let's go ahead and right here, I went ahead and I made this footage black and white. I did it a real cheesy way. Hit Shift 5 for effect controls. All I did was add tint and make it white. I'll show you how I did it real quick. Here's the regular shot. Nice and saturated, really pretty shot, beautiful colors, but we want to tweak it and only reveal the colors with the overlays. So first things first, go to your effects window over here and type in tint. And there's a bunch of different ways to make your footage black and white. This is just a simple, quick and dirty way. Drag tint over there and boom, it's already making your footage black and white. All right, so how do we get it to look the pretty look that we had before? Just like we did before in the first example, go ahead and Option drag or Alt drag on the PC, Option drag on the Mac to duplicate it, right? And we'll go ahead and highlighting the second layer, Shift 5 to make sure Effect Controls is open, and just highlight tint and delete it. Okay, now you can use any or all or some or none of the elements. I'm going to go ahead and just drag the elements from before. Holding down the Option key on the Mac or the Alt key on the PC, it's going to make a duplicate, and there you go. So now these elements are on top of my colorful club footage. But remember, we wanted to make these a track matte. So what do? You just get yourself a track matte. Go ahead and highlight layer 2 right there. Here in the search box, type in track and drag track matte key onto the second layer like that. And remember, these don't have alpha channels. So first things first, change composite using from matte alpha to matte luma, and then tell it what channel it's on. It is on video layer 4. Boom, boom, boom. And boom. Okay, rolling back. There you go. You now have color where only the overlay elements are. And it's revealing just the footage itself, not the overlay. You could easily do the same thing here by turning this layer off, or a similar look, not the same thing. You could easily put color elements over the black and white footage as an overlay, right? That's a completely different look. But very quickly you can alter your look based on what you're looking for, right? So very simple to do. I'm going to go ahead and re-enable this because I like that look. So you're pushing the color version of that layer only through the elements. Pretty easy to make that cool look. All right, so how do we make text jump? Maybe you want a lower third, you want a cool title. How do we make text jump? How do we do that? It's the same exact process, but let's go ahead and walk through it so we have an understanding of what we're doing here. So this is your text, and what do? We do it just like last time. We take the layer and we duplicate it. Option on the Mac, Alt on the PC, and just click and drag up. Boom, you made yourself a duplicate. Now, of course, this one is going to be the track matte. So we go over here to our effects window and type in track and grab track matte key and drag it onto the second layer like so. And remember, our elements for the free version do not have alpha channels. If you've bought the Distortion Toolkit from us or any other element that has an alpha channel, go ahead and set composite using to alpha. It'll still work as a luma, but just might as well use the alpha if you have it. We don't in this case, so switch matte alpha to matte luma like so. And then of course our mattes, we've decided to keep our mattes all on video layer 4. So let's go ahead and change matte to video 4. All right. Now of course there's nothing here, right? So let's go ahead and highlight these elements from the previous example and Option drag on the Mac, Alt drag on the PC to make a duplicate, and there you go. And I'm going to go ahead and cinch this up a little bit because I'd like a little less of that stuff and a little more of this stuff. So you can mix and match super easy. Okay. Now what aren't we seeing? Just like last time, there is no difference currently between this copy of the text and this copy. Remember, the bottom layers are original. The top layer is our distorted, and then the elements are on top of that. So how do I get these things to jump like I did before? Well, just like we can't alter this in time because this is the same on every frame, right? So we can't do the time altering thing, but we can do the scale and position altering thing. So let's just go ahead and scale up. And of course, the higher you go or the lower you go, you can get some really funky effects. So let's just go ahead and scale it up just a little bit and then move it over just a little bit like that, right? Okay. So rolling back. All this is being animated based on the overlays. And so you're like, well, wait a second. In this example over here, you showed me it's like it's coming in and it's not. It's disappearing. And so how do I do that? Well, it's very simple. It's actually a very crude technique, as you can see right here. All you're doing is if you want the text to jump and pop and go from being completely legible to being illegible, is just you just get dirty with the razor tool. You know, you cut this timeline like it owes you money. So you just grab the razor tool and just start on the very bottom layer. Just start randomly clicking like so, right? And who knows? I'm just completely randomly clicking. And then what I like to do when I do a situation like this is I keep the first one active, and then I go to the second one, and I do every other one holding the shift key. Boom, 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 and boom, like that, okay? And then I right click and I hit enable and I turn those layers off. This is a super destructive, but you can always bring it back to life if you need to. Well, see, there you go. Now, of course, timing is up to you. I think both of these effects are on way too long, right? So if I undo all this, and go back, this is what I mean by it being destructive. You kind of have to work out your timings yourself. So perhaps I didn't get as buck wild as I should have on the cutting, right? So really cut this thing like, you know, it took money from you and you're never going to get it back. So, cool. And like I said before, just every other one or whichever ones you want. I'm just highlighting a handful of these. And oh no. Be careful to make sure to never let go of the shift key or click where you're not supposed to click when doing this technique. Alrighty, and then right click after you've clicked the ones you want, right click and turn them off, right? So now you go. So there you go. That's how easy it is to animate type with free glitch effects. And of course, the very last example I want to show you, this one was the same exact one. I'll show you real quick. I mean, it's just, I made a duplicate basically of this one just to show you what the same exact effects look like on a different clip. So let's go ahead and just duplicate these. Option drag on the Mac, Alt drag on the PC, and just put it right over here like so, and like so. Track Matte key, Luma, video layer 4. And let's just go ahead and with the second layer highlighted, just bump it up to like, I don't know, 110. That sounds cool. Roll it back, and what you're getting is the displacement effect. And I've kind of cheated a little bit. Normally when I do these tutorials, I show you one specific effect. So let's just go back and just grab one of these because I want to show you, because you might not do this the way that I'm doing it. So I'll show you one last technique here. Let's use this effect right here, right? It's this crazy glitch transition looking effect, right? All right, so as you can see right here, see, that's where it's bumping. See that right in the right-hand corner? Boom, 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 right? Let's say that's cool, but it's not exactly what I want. As a matter of fact, I'll just duplicate it up and I'll make a screen version of this so you can kind of see it better. All right, so this is your glitch effect. And let's say you're super happy with the timing, but you just want to try a different glitch effect. Maybe your client's not happy or whatever. You just want it, you like the idea of a glitch, but it's not the right one. So we used clip 74, distortion transition 74, if you're following along. So just grab anything that's just not that, right? So we're going to use screen damage instead. So with both effects highlighted, find the clip that you want to replace it with, like this, and just drag it over. And right before you let go, as you drag this on top, hold down the Option key on the Mac, the Alt key on the PC, and it will just replace the clips like so. See? And of course, if you don't want the overlay, you can just turn it off. See? Bumping. And you can just keep doing that all day long. You're like, nope, I want this one. Okay? No problem. Roll it back. You're like, nope, nope, that's too much wiggle and jam. I want this 8-bit look. Done. So you can distort as much or as little as you want just by Option replacing or Alt replacing, depending upon what machine you're on. Cool. So the very last effect, and I've already gone over this, I just try to show you over and over again because we do get complaints that I'm either too fast or there's not enough examples. So we try to hit you with as many examples as possible so you get an idea of the technique and you can go and make your own video effects goodness. This is the very last shot I'm going to show you, and then we can bounce. So I really appreciate your time, by the way. Okay, so what did we do before? Well, we drag and drop and blend, right? But before we do that, we need a copy of this so we don't accidentally put our overlays one layer above. This is going to happen. This already happens, right? This happens a lot. So let's go ahead and right here, Option or Alt drag up and duplicate, right? Now go back to your effects and type in track. If it's not already typed in there, type in track, and we're looking for track matte key, and drag the track matte key onto the second layer, like so. Then just find the distortion layer that you're looking for. I like this one, for example, and I'm going to put it right there. On layer 2, let's go ahead and change our track matte from composite using matte alpha to luma, and the matte layer is on layer 4. Go back, make sure your second layer is highlighted, and let's just alter it. Just move it over. See, I'm moving it. See how the distortion is? I'm going to move it to the left. I've always been moving it to the right. I'm going to move it to the left. Roll it back. Cool. So now you've got some cool glitchiness, right? But what if you want to mix the displacement and the overlay? We really haven't done that yet. So go ahead and take your element like here and just Option drag it or Alt drag it and bring it back up. Now, of course, this isn't blended, so go ahead and highlight your effect, hit Shift 5 to open effect controls, and then change your opacity blend mode from normal to screen. Okay, so now we've got our displacement, as you can see. So let's scrub through here. You can see our displacement and our overlay, right? Now, what if the displacement is just, or excuse me, what if the overlay is a little too overbearing? Like this is really taking over the displacement. Well, a couple things you can do. Your top layer is your overlay, so go ahead and highlight your top layer, hit Shift 5 to open effect controls. Go ahead and turn this stopwatch off on opacity. It comes default on, so make sure to turn that off. And then just kill this opacity down to 50%. Start there. So maybe now the glitch overlay is not so powerful and it's not overpowering your distortion, right? What if you like the vibrance and the color of the overlay at 100% and you want to be able to mix and match both? Well, the next thing you can do is just alter this position and scale. So if we just move this over just a little bit, maybe just alter it just a little bit so it's not exactly covering what it's displacing, then if you roll that back, you get a nice combo. And there you go. You've got yourself a cool glitch with an overlay. Now, there are no rules here. Feel free to mix and match, right? So this is our overlay and this is our displacement. Let's say we just displace it with our analog. So remember, just Option drag or Alt drag and replace. So now I've got a different overlay with displacement. Now that looks kind of strange, but you could probably mix and match and tweak and to get something that you really want. But the point is, there are no rules. You can do whatever you want. You can put as little or as much as you want. And of course, you can turn off the overlay at any time just by right-clicking and turning Enable off. So that's it. It's super easy to add displacement and distortion to your footage in Premiere. You know what? I always intend to make these things short, but I can't help but share everything I know with you all because I want to make sure you get the most power out of these things that you can, and it's always about the end result with your video. So I want you to be happy with these things. I want you to love them. I want you to like them. I want you to use them. And of course, thank you so much for your time. Your time is your most valuable asset, and I just cannot thank you enough for sharing your time with me. So, like I said before, now you know how to add displacement and distortion in Premiere simply using track mats. Please give these free effects a try and let me know what you think about them. Go ahead and leave a comment here or leave a link to your work. We have a Facebook user group that is nothing but people showing off their work, so go ahead and join that and show us what you've done with these effects, whether they're the free ones or the ones you paid for. We love seeing what people do with this stuff. And if you don't want to miss the next free effects tutorial, click on that blue R in the bottom right corner and subscribe to our channel. That's right there, that blue R in the bottom right. We run on love, and we love each and every one of you, so thank you for your sub. So don't forget to go over to 4kfree.com and load up on all the free 4K goodness from Stephanie and myself. Until next time, I'm Sean Mullen from RampantDesignTools.com. Thanks for watching.